Great, one more minute and we will get started this morning. Thanks for those of you coming in. This is Zoom webinar, so we cannot see you, but please use the chat feature if you have any questions or comments or just want to say hello and where you're from this morning. Hi, Kara. And someone from Westbrook, maybe that's Amy. Great. Okay, we're going to get started. So good morning, everyone. We are recording this this morning so that if you want to share it at a later time with other board or committee members or staff, we would love to have you do that. I'm Ann Ball, a program director at Maine Development Foundation, overseeing the Maine Downtown Center. And in the attendees is my teammate, Joanna Crisp, who is also a program director at the Maine Downtown Center. So thanks for being with us this morning. These webinars are really informal, conversational, as best we can do on Zoom. And a few starting points here this morning. I'm going to get started. Let's see. Great if my slides would advance. Hold on. There we go. Thank you to our sponsors. Obviously very important to our work. Some notes for today. As I said, this is Zoom webinar, so we cannot see you, but you will be able to see our two presenters. And the webinar is being recorded, as I said, to be made available for use in your organizations. And if you have any questions or comments, please use that chat feature located in the toolbar down below. And the webinar will be 40 to 45 minutes. And we're really glad to have a good crowd here. I always like to ground our webinars in the 4-point approach, which all of our Main Streets and affiliates are implementing at the local level. So really the topic of annual appeal, which we are talking about this morning, is typically grounded in the organization committee. That is the committee that does do the fundraising for the organization. And I really want to add that the annual appeal is a piece of an overall fundraising strategy, as I'm sure many of you know. There are all sorts of ways that our downtown organizations raise money, but the annual appeal in some ways is one of the simplest and most effective ways, and one I encourage every one of you to have for your organizations. It can be, you know, like I said, simple and done quickly and efficiently and grow over time. And the examples that we're sharing with you this morning have various nuances that you will see. So that's what we are here to talk about this morning, and that is where it sits in the 4-point approach. So here's our agenda for this morning, and we will be hearing from Brunswick and Belfast. Plenty of time for Q&A using that chat feature. And I would like to introduce our two speakers. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and introduce Annie and Zach, and I will introduce them both, and then I will have Annie get started for us. So let me rearrange there we go, my laptop. Thank you for that. Okay, so Annie, we are lucky to have Annie with us. Annie is been involved with the Brunswick Downtown Association, or the BDA, for over 15 years. First, as a representative from the Parkview Medical Center, where she was the director of volunteer services. And then after a hospital merger, she remained on the board and led a capital campaign for the local parochial school in town. And she's currently chair of the board, representing the Brunswick Inn on the BDA. And she has owned and operated a small business, first in Connecticut, a 150-seat full-service continental restaurant, and later a bed and breakfast here in Topsham. And this really cemented her belief in the importance of small businesses working together with the community. And hospitality is her first love, and her work with the BDA is a natural extension of that love. And her bio says, who knew where that BS in psychology will lead? And I just have to laugh because Annie, I have a BS in psychology. We are lucky to have Annie, who has really deep fundraising experience on many levels, right? So we're really glad to have her. And also she understands the full comprehensive fundraising work that these organizations do and is here today to talk about annual appeal. And then our second guest is Zach Schmesser, who joined Our Town Belfast, one of our nationally accredited Main Streets, in January of 2018. So he's been living the pandemic more in his position than not. And he has more than 10 years of experience in events planning and community building, as well as business and nonprofit management. He's also been a small business owner and the events director at Bicycle Coalition of Maine, where he managed the organization's signature giant, well-known event, Bike Maine, which is a week-long bike ride that focuses on economic and community development throughout the state. And Zach is a graduate of Unity College with a degree in adventure therapy and adventure education leadership, and then Hassan University with a master's in business. So we are so lucky to have both of these speakers with us today. So I'm going to pass it over to Annie and put myself on mute. And again, please take advantage of the chat feature. And good morning, Annie.
Good morning, Anne. Hi, Zach. Hi, everybody. I'm really pleased to be here today to be able to share my experience with our annual appeal. Every annual appeal is going to be different, but what I've tried to do is answer the 5 or 6 questions that Anne posed, and we'll have time for questions afterwards. I think probably if Zach and I had actually met beforehand, we'd probably be doing more of a dual presentation, bouncing off of each other. So Zach, chime in anytime you want. I think, can we talk? Or he just types?
Absolutely. No, Zach and you can absolutely bounce off of each other. That is a fine way to do that this morning. If something, if Zach is so inspired.
If you're so inspired, just barge right in, Zach, and I'm happy for questions later. So we started our and I had to laugh at it. Hadn't occurred to me when I said, who knew where that BS in psychology, until you said it aloud. The BS and the psychology did not resonate. So sorry about that. We started an annual appeal. It was about 6 years ago. Before that, we had depended largely on, we are a membership organization, so we depended on membership and our local businesses for what we called a leadership donor campaign. We also targeted, obviously, a few well-known community-minded people who we felt would support us, and they did. But that was a visit by visit, coffee by coffee, lunch by lunch type of a campaign. And that was before we did a real community-driven mailing appeal, which our annual appeal is. Ironically, we're confident that one of the main reasons that our sponsorship program has been so successful is that they started first as leadership donors. In addition to their membership, we would tag them for that. But then, as always, we figured out what would appeal to them more, what they needed, and broke off into a sponsorship package. Our annual appeal is, and I just wanted to say that it's so hard to try and really separate those two because they're quite intricately connected. The key, but as always, is to know your audience. Each year we send out a letter, and we send it only to people we know or someone on the board knows. I try to keep the list fresh and refreshed with asking board members each year to give us the names of people that they know. And it's not just that they give us the names. The board is key to say, who is this person? What does this person like? What are the intricacies of that person's business? That type of thing. We've never done a mass zip code mail, as I say. So it's our annual appeal is actually generally under 100 or just about 100 letters. I send the initial letter to residents in October. excuse me, I try to make that a short, fun, easy to read letter. I'll often highlight one of our events or some kind of in the know news that might be fun for them to get first, oh, the French bakeries, something that would appeal to people and they might like to know. I invite them to be a part of their town's success and their town's future. And I try to stress how important everyone's support is. There's a couple things that I've picked up over the years that really seem to enhance the return on our appeal. One of them is we always include a return addressed envelope. We used to, with the letter, we used to stamp them, but we don't do that anymore. We lost a lot of stamps, but if they're going to donate, they're happy to put a stamp on it. I also have a personal note on each letter, mostly by me, but if the board has time, they'll come in and write a personal note on the letter, just so there's something else to catch their eye when they open that envelope and look at it. And finally, I hand address every envelope. Or I should really have my husband do it because he has much better handwriting, but I try really hard to make them legible, and I hand address every envelope. And I think that actually increases the chance that they'll actually open the letter and then hopefully read it, and hopefully that boosts our campaign. We also, I also follow up right through December, right up to a postcard a couple of weeks, or a Merry Christmas, don't forget us, or a postcard, oh, just a few weeks left, just a nudge to remind them. And I think oftentimes that's helpful. What are you thankful? Are you thankful for BDA this year? That just kind of silly little notes. I generally write the letter, and I couldn't do it without our marketing director, Patty Spencer Yost. She can choose just the right format, the font, the boldface, bullets, she just imagery, just the way that she arranges it on the page makes it much more readable. And I think it's easier for when you open it up, it's not like just glommed with stuff. It's separated. Finally, one thing is I always also, which you probably know a lot of this stuff, I always have a PS. It's either a thank you in advance, or, oh, won't you write your check today? Or I hope I'll see you at the bed races on Saturday, the 16th, that type of thing, just as a final thing and something for them to catch their eye, another piece of information. And of course, I run all this by our director, Deb King, and she, we can collaborate that way. As I said, our appeal is primarily a residence appeal, while our businesses are the backbone of our sponsorship drive. That being said, residents have also started to buy in to sponsorship opportunities that appeal to them. So one thing we've done for years is light all the lampposts that line our main street, and we put wreaths up just with a bow. Well, what we've done now is offered the residents the opportunity to buy a wreath. I think it's 150. I don't have all the prices committed, but and we'll put a little gift tag on it with their name on it. And one thing we added last year during COVID, we did a Lights of Hope campaign. We had debated, are we going to do the lights? Is that going to seem frivolous when people are struggling? And then we said, no, they need to have that joy. And we did a bang up job. And we started lighting up some of the trees down on Main Street, just down the sidewalk. And we give people an opportunity to buy those trees as well. And I'll just note that our lights go on Saturday, the first Saturday after Thanksgiving. And it's kind of a full afternoon event with sleigh rides, horse-drawn carriage rides for the kids, and a bouncy house, and free cocoa and cookies, which are provided by the board and volunteers and served by the board and volunteers. And then Santa arrives on the big fire truck with a few few little whirls of the siren and the kids visit, and then we count down. We have one big tree on our mall, and we count down to light that off, and all the lights go on. So they're on from the first Saturday after Thanksgiving until the end of January. So that really changes, that lights up our darkest months here in May. Our goals this year, our annual appeal goal is, we set our goal at 138, and we're fast approaching that. We still have obviously the annual appeal left, and we have our bed races, and we have our small business Saturday. So we've got a few events still coming up. And our auction, which will be all online this year. So we're definitely going to meet our budget with that. Our total budget is $364,800. So we have to raise somewhere about a third of that, and we accept cash, credit card, checks, payroll, and I'm currently in the process of setting up. I'm not doing it, but setting up a stocks transfer account. A couple of our board members do wealth management, so they're taking the lead on this. Of course, they can't set it up, they have conflict of interest, but that's going to give one more way. We've had donors, residents actually say, if you took stocks, I could give a lot more in. And so it's like, whoa, we can take stuff, we can do that. So evidently we're late to the game on that, because when I called one of our, Tom Carr, he said, oh, geez, Anna, all the nonprofits and the churches all have these stock transfers. But we're evolving, we're growing. Every year it changes. Every year we try to think of more ways to add levels of sponsorship so that we can get more people involved, that kind of thing. And it's really heartwarming to see people's response, and see, especially last year during COVID, to see people who had never given before, because I keep sending the letter, whether or not they give. I suppose I should have a 3-year law or a 5-year, but I just try to keep reminding them that we're here. And we got some responses last year that were really overwhelming. I'd encourage you all to take a look at our website. It's again, Patty, I'm sure has done the bulk of that. And it's just great information. There are some fun videos on there we often end our annual meeting with a video just to send people out the door with a smile and, just feeling good about their town. And so that day in the life of Brunswick is really a fun one. There's one about the history of our mall, our town mall, and that's really informative. When Deb first came on, I think it was kind of when she first came on, she did a whole piece on the Brunswick Downtown organization. And that's a great one. And you can see pictures of our lights. We also post all of our businesses. There's events, and then there's BDA events. So the events is our business events. And we send out a weekly blast, and everybody sends Patty what they're doing or what's special going on. And I think, you might pick up something from that. You might not. I'd be happy to send anyone our new improved sponsorship package, all 12 pages of it, or our a sample letter, anything that that might be helpful to you. I'm happy to share, because we've all learned years ago there's no sense to reinvent that wheel. So I'm grateful. I think I've answered all the points that you asked me.
I have one question in the chat, Annie. And Rob Biggs says, yes, please. He'd love to see samples. So maybe after we're done today, you can email me.
We can look at them all, and I can get the information.
Yeah, we can send it out in our follow-up email.
Have a pen. Yeah. I don't have a pen, but
that's okay. We'll remember, Annie. No worries.
Okay, great. Great, Rob. Thanks.
So thinking about the annual appeal, which is just a piece of your overall fundraising effort, right. You said your overall fundraising has to raise about $138,000 annually. Do you know what the annual appeal is? Like how much?
I'd say I was thinking of that.
Roughly.
Yeah, I was thinking of that this morning, that I had not included that. I would say it's roughly 80-20. So our sponsorship has really taken up.
Right.
Oh, and the other thing I remembered first thing when I woke up this morning is
Yeah.
just in that annual appeal, another, you all know, I'm sure, but it's just key within a day or two to, when that check comes into the office, Deb emails me or calls me right away. And I try to, they get an email, you know, a blanket email
Sure.
thanking them, blah, blah, blah. But I try to get a personal note off each one. And I'm actually doing that right now. I'm doing, since the bulk of our sponsorships are over, I'm trying to write each sponsor just a quick note. They've all been acknowledged with email.
Sure, they get the formal for their taxes, but the personal
This is
email.
just a stationary.
I would say that's an overall theme of everything you've shared with us in Brunswick, that it's a very personal approach. Both the letters, the personal PSs, the hand addressing. So it's really sounds like a great approach for your annual fund. And you also talked about the follow-up letters, and this was a question in the chat, that you may send out that initial first letter, but then you do a follow-up letter or a handwritten postcard. How many times do you do follow-ups typically, Annie?
Typically, I hate to bug them, you know, so typically I'll either do it right after, but I hate to leave money on the table even more. Typically, I might do it after Thanksgiving.
Okay.
You know, if there's someone that's just blatantly missing, by mid-December, I might give them a buzz or just send an email or that type of thing. I try not to do it too often.
Follow-up that you do after Thanksgiving, is that a handwritten postcard?
Aren't they lucky?
Yeah,
they get to figure that scratch out all the time.
I like that. And your very first letter goes out around October 1st or
no, mid-October.
Mid-October, your very first. Okay, that was another question in the chat. Okay, so for the moment, we'll have more questions for you, but for the moment, we're going to transfer to Zach. Sure. Thank you, Annie. That was great.
You're welcome, dear. Zach.
Annie did half my presentation, so we'll be done early.
Yeah, right.
No, I think Annie's point about you know, a lot of Annie's points are spot on, and our program is slightly different. I just shared my screen. Can you see that?
We sure can.
So our program, we call it our partners program. It grew out of before Our Town Belfast was an entity. We had a downtown business group, and when Our Town Belfast was getting started, funds needed to be raised, and there were
Zach, sorry to interrupt you. Your screen you're sharing. There we go. Thank you.
Sorry.
That was me. Sorry. I think that was me.
No, I think it was me. So it grew out of our downtown business group. In order to start Our Town Belfast, funds had to be raised. And so there were a number of businesses who committed to donating $1,000 to the organization over 3 years. And that's where this program really grew out of, was based in businesses. So we're not a membership organization. This is purely a financial contribution from businesses. We do have property owners and we do have residents who participate in this program. Residents more and more as our profile is sort of raised. And what we do, it's split up in these 5 different levels. The annual numbers are on the top from 150 to 2,500. And then we provide the opportunity for people to pay monthly. We have a recurring billing system. They enter their credit card and capture each month. The $150 level is the newest level. It was started 3 years ago, and it was out of interest from businesses who said, hey, we'd really love to support and be part of the program, partners program, but 300 is too much. So we created it, and it's been really successful. So, as I said, originally it was, these 10 businesses who committed to paying $1,000 a year. Now it's really grown organically through word of mouth, and I'll get into that in a minute. As donations as a percentage of our total budget, you can see across the top, and these are just donations, not fundraising events. So last year, donations were 23% of our total budget, and of that 23%, 79% were through our partners program. We've really seen a growth in our partners program since 2017. 2017, our partners program was 12,000. Last year, it was just over 20,000. So the way that we really, it's really promoted is through our network, through Facebook, Instagram, our email newsletter, just similar to what Annie said, and our website. So this is our single biggest way that we get word out. It's almost guilting other business owners or people to participate. And we do ask people who should be part of the program, but we get a lot of people when we promote and thank a business who's participating or an entity that's participating in our partners program. We get phone calls or emails or people who just go on the website and join our partners program because they want to be involved. It's turned out really well. There hasn't had to be much formal asking. In terms of the mechanics, people who annually participate in the program who aren't on a recurring basis, we will send a letter out kind of on their anniversary of when they originally joined the program. Similar to Annie, a lot of this is really kind of best practice. We use it as an opportunity to kind of highlight what we've accomplished over the last year, and we don't include an invoice in it. We suggest, we highlight what they've donated in the past year, and we ask them to participate at a level that's really appropriate for them, and it's had really good success. Last year with the pandemic, we held off on sending out any renewal letters from March through just about this time last year, out of a sensitivity that a lot of these businesses were businesses we knew what their financial situation was. Many of them had been closed for 6 weeks or more earlier on in the season. So we held off and we sent out a letter this time last year, and a lot of folks were really thankful for the support they got, and they continued to support. So what that set us up to be kind of on a yearly, almost like an annual appeal, where there will be a large chunk of, we just mailed a large chunk of letters earlier this week, and will put us on a kind of more of an annual cycle. I guess the challenge with an annual cycle is if it's not successful for some reason, you've put all your eggs in one basket. The nice thing about it being spread out over the course of the year, you have time to make up for come to the end of the year. As I mentioned, more and more we're getting property owners who are participating in the program, and I think because they're seeing the benefit of the organization to business owners that are in their spaces, or for residents who are in their spaces. Just before the pandemic, we had a lengthy discussion about reaching out to residents and creating a residential level that's less than 150. But again, the pandemic hit, and we held off on that. But it's something that we'll bring back about. We did, just in terms of residential support, similar to Annie, we have a reef program in our downtown, $100, and there's a tag that they get with their choice of message. We raise a lot of money that way through residential appeal. But we feel like there could be this level that people are just on a recurring, whatever it is every year. And it never happened. This isn't a large undertaking. It's pretty passive income generally compared to doing an auction or something else. And we found people want to participate and people want to support the work that's being done. And this is a really good way to have people support. In addition, we also have sponsorship opportunities for various events, but it's just a really good way to make for an organization to make money, especially an organization that is supporting so many different people. So it's been really successful. I'm happy to share any of this. I don't think any of it's really. None of it's proprietary. You can find it all on our website. I've shared it with a number of Main Street directors, and I really think the recognition piece is really important, and that's really what's gotten other people to want to participate. In terms of follow-up and relationships also, I think a lot of these people I see, or members of our board see every day, and that's part of it. So there's plenty of opportunity to thank people, and they see you, so they don't want to not support you. So they support you.
That's great, Zach. Let's see. I have a couple questions in the chat. I'm trying to think if I have any specific questions for OTB. Let me look at my notes. Okay, so Zach, the program that you just shared with everyone is primarily asking businesses for annual support.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the partnership
That's
program.
correct.
Yeah, and your wreath program is more geared towards an annual ask for residents, you would say?
It's both.
It's both. Okay, great.
We do get we have residents who just donate every year. It's just a small number, and we don't have a mechanism really.
Right.
We haven't developed a mechanism really to encourage that. Those are
Okay.
people who are just doing it on their own. We have a donate button on our website.
Right. But one thing that's really clear from both Belfast and from Brunswick is that you all are seeking support from residents, businesses, and your municipalities, that three-legged stool. So that is part of the mix. And in this case, also, Zach, I just want to clarify, your program for the partnership program runs through a longer period of time. It's not condensed like Brunswick's program. Is that fair to say? As far as Brunswick's runs from like October to December, and yours runs throughout the year.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So two different approaches towards timelines of seeking that annual support. Great. So there's a question in the chat that's for both of you. And it says, what do Brunswick and Belfast do with their funds that they find gets the most positive support and feedback and keeps businesses and donators coming back every year wanting to be part of it? Let's see, Christy, I'm trying to see if I have your question right. What do Brunswick and Belfast do with their funds that they find? Okay. She says, no, that's the question. So similarly, Mary Powell from Bucksport says, what seems to impact donors most? What have you done information, or what will we do, or some sort of a hybrid? So I think it's on messaging. And Christy, clarify if I'm not asking your question correctly.
I think when we send out the letter, or we do our annual report, I think there's different things that resonate with different people. And so I think that's part of the relationship. And so understanding why somebody chooses to support, we have a dentist who isn't downtown who supports us annually. And he just likes being able to come downtown with his wife and get dinner and walk Main Street. And so he wants to see a vibrant. So that's why he supports it. So I think it's not a one size fits all. I think it's really understanding who you're asking. And I just want to say our partners program, we're talking about maybe 40 different individuals. So it's not a ton of work either to understand. These are people you're already interacting with probably on a daily or weekly basis. So I think setting it up is probably the hardest part and probably seems the most overwhelming. But I think if you bite it off in little chunks, and I think that I'd make the case for monthly or as you go, and not to get started at least, because then you're not biting off a huge chunk.
Yeah, no, that's a great program. You're spreading it out. I love that idea, Zach, that you're doing. Annie, do you have anything to add to that question?
Well, I was thinking what impacts people to make them donate, and it's all of our events are free, and we do a SCADA events, except for our speaker series, and that they just pay for the breakfast. We do them in the morning, and they pay $15 or $20 for the breakfast, depending on what we're getting charged. So I think it's the event, and of course at the auction they pay. It's free to come, and hors d'oeuvres, but you pay for cocktails. But I think it's the impact of the events that raise our visibility.
Yeah.
And when supporters see people having a blast, they want to be the one who sponsored the hayride,
Yeah.
horse contract, or they want to be the one who does the music. So that's, yeah.
No, that's very true. And I think both of your programs, and I had made a note while you were speaking, both of them connect to marketing and the brand of your organizations. And like you said, kind of build this overall vibe of like, I want to be part of that, whether it's social media. I mean, that post that you shared, Zach, about the ice cream company and like them being pregnant with their child. And like, those are like great stories. And then even the story of your dentist in downtown Belfast about like why he supports our town Belfast, those are great stories to share as well. And it is meaningful to different people. But I guess I feel like all of the fundraising work, including the annual appeal, really does touch, your marketing and your branding and your outreach and your events. So we have some more questions. Do you send out multiple letters throughout the year to the same people? I think this is for you, Zach.
No.
Okay.
We send them one letter and we had a lot of success with the follow-up.
Okay. And it sounds like in Brunswick, Christy, Annie said they have a group of 100 residents that they solicit in October, and they do a follow-up roughly after Thanksgiving in writing. And then if it's someone they're really counting on that hasn't responded, they pick up the phone and call them. Let's see. Zach, do you find it difficult to ask for partners, then ask them later to be sponsors for events, or do you approach differentiation businesses? So I think what this is from Amy. So Amy, if I'm not interpreting your chat right, I think she's asking, is it hard to go from asking for a partner and then saying, oh, in addition, 6 months later, will you sponsor this event? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I guess again, it sort of depends on who it is. Some of our larger businesses like to, and I think it really depends on what the event is. Again, we don't normally send out kind of a blanket call for sponsors. It's really kind of targeted based on whatever the event is. We've, I guess, just had a lot of success in lining opportunities up with potential sponsors. And so I think to Nancy's question about engaging board members, I think Nancy probably could give an hour-long presentation on that. I think where we've been successful is, again, with the relationships and using board members, their professional or personal relationships to get in front of potential sponsors in particular. So if, for example, if we have somebody who has a banking relationship with a bank, we may ask them to help us build a relationship with the branch manager to get sponsorship dollars for whatever the event is, or for example, the hospital or whatever it might be. But that's sort of how we've used board members to raise money.
I think both Zach and Annie have really acknowledged both the relationships, the importance of the relationships, and also, some level of what I'm going to call donor research. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure a professional fundraiser would, probably not think this is really that kind of research, but I feel like you both are talking about really targeting certain donors for certain ways to support your organization that you think is a good match for them. And you're able to do that based on the relationship. So I think those are both really important takeaways for those of you on the webinar to think about targeting. Like I said, donor research may be too much of a sophisticated term, but some level of really contemplating who the donor is and what would be a good match. And of course, making sure that you have that relationship. So let's dive in for a second to Nancy's question. Zach started to talk about it, but Annie, because you are a board member, the question is, do you have any strategies for getting board members who are scared of fundraising to participate or even grow in this area?
We know how many people are scared to participate. And a lot of, I love to give people that opportunity to be a part of whatever we're doing, because I'm so enthusiastic about everything we do. And the board members are too, but I know I never really, I think the way that they become the most engaged is by coming to our events, interacting with the public, see how much difference that makes in the community's lives, to have music every week, downtown in the summer, or to have these wonderful events downtown. And I think that gives them the more incentive to ask. But the most I ask of them is for the names. And if they don't want to, sometimes they don't want to write, they don't want to be asking their friends for money, but they say, oh, well, they've got, they should be giving. I don't pressure people into asking. I don't train them. I probably,
No, but
kind
you
of
know
a
what
fly
you
by the
touched on, which I think is really important, is again, the personalization of the process. So let's say you are raising money for, music downtown, and one of your board members, that is like their passion. They very well might be the right person to be the front facing person asking whether it's a business or a resident to donate for the music because they really passionately believe in it. They know the industry, they know, so again, you're speaking a little bit about, really being thoughtful with both the asking and the solicitation. So I do think there's
doing
that.
it with them. I think doing it with them is important
Great
too.
idea.
Like people who would never go off and sell, I'm not going to walk around this crowd of 800 people and try to sell 50-50 tickets. But if I say, oh, Jennifer, could you come with me because I'm scattered
Awesome.
and blah, blah, blah. So I think once they do it and see that it's actually kind of fun.
That is really great, Annie. That's that mentoring, that kind of sharing and saying, come along with me, whether it's an ask in a big event or like going to visit businesses downtown. Christy says, I think your approach to fundraising, this is to you, Annie, is exactly, and then parentheses, only what people need. Your excitement of people and businesses and being able to be involved and be part of allowing the event to take place. Very true, Christy. And you definitely are exciting for us to have here today, Annie, because you are a volunteer. With all due respect to Zach, it's part of Zach's job in addition to engaging his board. Zach, do you want to comment on how your board is engaged in the process of fundraising, just to add on to this?
Well, I think I mentioned kind of the opportunity to have relationships. And I think, I think there's something when somebody opens the door for you and there's, again, a personal relationship. So that's really how we use it in terms of fundraising.
Okay. And Annie or Zach, do either of you ask your board members to contribute annually?
Oh, I was just going to ask that if they do. We do not have a requirement, but I know a lot of boards do. Do you, Zach?
I don't ask my board to, but our board chair does, and we've had a lot of success with that. 100% of our board donates, and
so your board chair does ask that. That's great.
It's not in a board handbook or anything, and
right.
She's gotten really good at just saying, if you could, donate whatever you feel is significant. And there are some people who make significant donations because they're in a position to.
That's
great. Annie, we just added to your job description.
I know, that's what I was thinking.
Great. So we are going to wrap. We have about a minute left. I'm just going to put one last call out to the chat to see if there's anything that we missed. I hope this has given everybody a little taste of two of our main streets and how they have approached the annual appeal. And I really want to thank Annie and Zach for being with us this morning and sharing both of their approaches. And there's so many little takeaways that I made notes of, and I hope you all who are attending today also got lots of those little takeaways. We have lots of thank yous in the chat from Bucksport and Westbrook. So thank you, Zach and Annie. And we will see you in October for Project Canopy. That's our next webinar coming up. And it's about the Project Canopy funding opportunity and talking about greening your downtown and really the benefit of those trees. Plant more trees, people. So we'll see you in October. Thank you to our speakers and thanks for joining us.
Take care, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks for putting it together. Bye, Zach. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, Annie, nice to meet you.